It's going to take just like a minute for people to start coming in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar titled How Media Monitoring Software Can Help You Do Your Job Better. We're going to just wait one more minute just to give the rest of the attendees a chance to come in. I see everybody's coming in now. Okay, there's still a few more people coming in, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Kanya Stewart. I'm the Director of Communications for NABJ. We're proud to have you all join us for this unique webinar. Our partner, PeakMetrics, who was a media partner for NABJ during our 2019 convention, has offered to help our members learn more about media monitoring software and offer some additional information and opportunities to them. So without further ado, I want to welcome our host and panelist for tonight, Bobby Lincoln. Bobby is the COO and founder of PeakMetrics, and he's has experience in fast-paced startups, in that environment, working progressively in business development, operations, business insights and analytics, technical program management, and product management tools. And I'm excited today to introduce him. I actually use PeakMetrics to help manage NABJ's communications. A lot of people ask me, how do I do so much as a one-person team, so to speak, during the year? But it's because I use software, I use analytics, and they have done a great job of keeping me empowered and informed. And I found that as a former journalist and a PR professional, that it works on both sides of the industry. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Bobby. Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you. Hi there, everyone. I'm very excited to be able to share with you all today a little bit about our view of the media ecosystem, how it's evolved, and then how you can use technology like media monitoring and media intelligence software to actually help you be more effective at what you're doing. Before I kind of get into it, just to kind of give you guys a quick overview, I'm going to start off by giving you a little bit of information about myself. And then I'd love to hear, we'll do a quick poll, see who it is that you all are. Talk a little bit about, like I said, the media landscape. Really over the last few years, there's been tremendous amounts of change in it. It's not the media landscape that we were used to 10 years ago. And so with along all that change, how does PeakMetrics fit in? A little bit about what it is that we do. I'll give you all a quick demo, and then we'll make sure to leave plenty of time for questions at the end. Because I'm trying to juggle managing both giving this and answering questions. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in the side chat, or you can use the Q&A button to ask your questions. Like I said, we'll get through those at the end. We'll make sure to leave plenty of time so that we can get to anything that you guys might have. All right, so a little bit about me. Like Kanya said, my background is in the tech world, particularly in working with startups. Obviously, for startups, communication is incredibly important. Being able to manage your messaging effectively, make sure you're reaching your target audience, developing content that resonates with them. All of those are challenges that we've had to work through. I helped co-found PeakMetrics a little over 2 years ago. We've been working with a number of organizations across different industries to help them with all of that. I'm excited to share with you what it is that we're working on. Just to kind of do a quick poll here, I think it's going to show up for all of you shortly. I just want to get a sense of who it is I'm talking to. I know there's a number of different applications for all the different tooling that exists within the media ecosystem. So go ahead and let me know who it is that's here. I'll give you all a couple seconds there to get through that poll. All right. While you guys are all finishing up with that poll, a little bit about the media landscape. Think back, it used to be really easy. When you were trying to get content out there and get your message heard, your decision was pretty simple. You had to think about, do I want to put budget allocation towards news or TV? There wasn't a whole lot of different channels that you were working through. Monitoring your messaging was quite simple. It was a nice, easy world. But then everything shifted. All of a sudden, this new line item started showing up on people's budgets, digital, online advertising, online media. So all of a sudden, all these channels started to emerge. You had social media content coming through. You had people starting their own blogs. Anyone could be a content creator all of a sudden. You had this whole idea of influencers popping up. There was e-news in addition to physical news. So it became really confusing. We recently ran a survey asking PR professionals and marketing professionals what challenges they faced. We got all sorts of responses. Here's a word cloud of some of the challenges that we found. One of the biggest ones was content. How do we create content that resonates with our audience? How do we create content and actually get it out to the right people? How do we cut through the noise of all those different conversations that are going on? Like I said, there were too many things to do. So what's the solution here? Well, it's figuring out ways to focus and figuring out ways to make sure that that content is actually effective that you're putting out there. Best allocating your resources. So that became really hard for a person to do, right? We started to see the emergence of tooling coming out of that. You had things, free tools like Google Alerts that allowed you to try to track all of the different narratives that are occurring. We had tools that helped you better manage all of the different content that you're creating. Things like Hootsuite allowed you to start to publish your posts and your messaging across various channels. We had analytics. So trying to look at, well, who's actually coming to my website? Who's reading my content? So there's been this emergence of tools, and that's really exciting, but it's also made it really difficult to figure out how do I put together the right set of tools for my goals. And that's the media ecosystem that we are playing in. It's the problem that we saw, and it's a problem that PeakMetrics seeks to solve. It's part of why I co-founded this a couple years ago. So a little bit about PeakMetrics. As Kanya said, we've worked with her to better be able to monitor the media. So we provide a service that tracks over 10,000 different news publications. We also track social media. We track TV and radio broadcast across the US, and we aggregate that all into a single platform. So now instead of trying to manage all these tools across different channels, you have a single place that you can go to be able to see where's my message being heard. What are people saying about my competitors? What are different publications talking about most frequently? And how does all of that connect? Then the second step of that, once you've been able to effectively understand your media landscape, is how do you actually create content that's effective? How do you take your messaging and optimize it to make sure that you are creating content that resonates with your audience? What journalists do you reach out to and partner with to get that content out there? What media publications should you focus on based on your interests and goals? And then the last part, after you understand that ecosystem and you've started to engage with it, how do you actually measure and quantify the effectiveness of that so that you can continue to iterate and improve on that process over time and build up your media strategy. So I'm going to dive into just a quick overview of what PeakMetrics does. I'm not going to go too in-depth into anything. I know that we've got kind of a mix of different people here, from PR professionals to journalists. So I'm going to just give you all a quick flavor of some of the different feature sets we have within the tool. At the end, I'll give you all my contact information. Happy to hop on a call with anyone that wants a more in-depth demo. Happy to talk through specific features with anyone as well. All right. So like I said, PeakMetrics starts off by helping you understand different trends in media. So we allow you to set up alerts and monitor for things like news, monitor within data sets like social media, TV, radio broadcasts, so that you can start to see what kind of content is being created around a specific issue. Real quickly before we dive too deeply into this, just so I have a sense of who it is I'm talking with, if everyone could go ahead, we're going to have a second poll that's going to pop up on your screen, just so I can get a sense of what your familiarity is with tools similar to this. So let's go ahead and kick off that poll. I'll let you guys can go ahead and fill that out as I start kind of talking through some of these features. As you guys are filling that out, like I said, the core of that is being able to monitor. So PeakMetrics allows you to monitor within all these different data sets in one single place. So done are the days of having to use multiple tools to monitor within what's happening online versus what's happening on TV. So we allow you to set up different alerts. For any of these alerts, we provide really cool features and analytics so that you can start to dive a little bit deeper. Things like geo-filtering, so that you can really narrow down to the areas that you might be interested in. Rich analytics to start to better understand how your messaging is evolving over time. I'm a big Marvel fan, so we can see here how conversations about Steve Rogers and Captain America seem to have been dropping since the release of the last Avengers. I'd imagine that will start to pick back up. Looking at things like sentiment analysis, again, really just giving you tools to be able to best understand your audience and how your message is being heard. For those of you that are journalists or trying to get in contact with journalists, we have a database of over 1 million different journalists. This allows you to start to understand who's writing about specific issues that you care about, so that you know who to reach out to. This entire journalist database is searchable. And you can also discover new journalists around a topic that you care about. I can sort these journalists by recency. So I know for many of you, you might change what it is that you're writing about. So I can sort these by recency. I can also look at how much social media publicity specific content items that you put out are. I can start to build up media lists and then actually reach out to individuals through the platform. So again, happy to dive into any of this. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll give my contact information towards the end. A really cool feature we have here for those of you in the PR and communication space that are trying to understand how your own content is doing, we allow you to connect different properties. So this allows you to connect your own properties, any of your competitors' properties, and provides a way for you to understand how that content is actually doing. So here I'm going to look at one for Disney, the owner of Marvel. And I can see here, here's every press release or content item that they've put out. I'm automatically getting pulled into PeakMetrics. I can click on a specific piece, and in addition to seeing how that piece of content is being shared, what's really cool is I can start to see things like meaningful phrases. So being able to understand what portions of the content I'm creating are actually resonating within the database of all the different publications we're tracking. Being able to understand which publications are actually picking up on any of those meaningful phrases. And then, of course, being able to summarize all this data into a report that allows you to start to get insights and share those insights with people within your organization. So our philosophy here at PeakMetrics is that it's not just about being able to do each of those different tasks individually within a siloed experience, but starting to take all of your efforts for the content that you own, so all of your owned media, combining that with all of your earned media, so the content that you're working with journalists to get written about you, articles that are being published based on the press releases that you're writing, I might mention it, and combining all of that into a single platform so that you can start to amplify those efforts. Hop back in here to, there we go. So what's next? For those of you, like I said, that are interested in learning more about PeakMetrics and diving into some of those features deeper, get a demo. Feel free to reach out to me. Let's set something up. I'd love to share with you a little bit deeper about how PeakMetrics can work for your business. We can go over some specific use cases. The second is discounts. We've partnered with NABJ to offer all of you a discount. You'll all get 20% off of our services. It's a great way for you to be able to test the tool. It's a discount that we don't frequently give out. Again, schedule time with me and I'm happy to go over kind of what all of that looks like. We also offer discounts for those of you that might be students. So feel free to reach out there as well. And then the last thing that we're going to do is we're actually having a raffle today. So for those of you that are still on the chat, we're going to go ahead and raffle off a free year of the PeakMetrics service. So we've got 2 licenses that we're giving away. My colleague here, Mihal, is going to randomly select 2 of you, and we'll be raffling that off. I'll let you know all the winners once we get to the end. All right, so like I said, I wanted to leave a lot of time for questions for all of you. Are there any specific questions that that you have? Go ahead and feel free to ask them now. Let's take a look at what's coming through. All right, the first question I have here is, does your platform contain editorial calendars, and are your distributions via wire or email? Great question. So we actually do not do, we're not a distribution service. So we have the ability for you to reach out to journalists and manage all of those within the PeakMetrics platform, all those communications. So as you discover different journalists to release content to, you can reach out to them. We don't actually help you publish your content to the wire, but once your content is published, we'll help you monitor the pickup of that. So once you've put something out, what other articles are referencing it? How is that starting to grow? How is it going viral on social? So that you can then continue to build more effective content. So in essence, building you a flywheel to amplify your own efforts. All right, do we have, let's see if we have any other questions here. Can your servers work offline? When you say work offline, I'm not quite sure I understand there the specific question. We are a web platform, so you'll be accessing it via the internet. We track, let me see if I'm understanding this correctly. Looks like the question might be about whether we're tracking offline publications, so print publications. We do track and partner with publications that are publishing their content both in print and online. As far as strictly print publications, we don't focus on those. There's a number of great services that do. We're really focused on how do we take your digital content and amplify those efforts. As far as how you can actually use the platform, like I said, it's a web platform. We do also have a mobile app that you can use so you can stay up to date. And we plug into third-party services. So if you're already using things like Slack, we have integrations into those as well. See another question coming through here, language. Yes, we support multiple languages. Happy to talk more about that as well. We have an international plan that supports monitoring across the globe. As far as publications that we track, it's going to be everything from local publications and industry-specific publications up to national publications. So again, that's a great thing for us to go through in a demo and be able to look at your use cases, but definitely something that we support. Can one generate coverage reports from your monitoring reports? Yeah, absolutely. So there's a few different ways that you can do that. We allow you to look at kind of your high level coverage. So things like how many times are you being mentioned, but then we allow you to drill down a little bit deeper. So where are those mentions taking place geographically? So you can segment that by location. You can segment it by source. So what sources are talking about you most frequently? You can segment it by individual. So again, many ways of looking at that so that you can better understand how to channel your efforts. How often is the database of reporter contacts updated? It's updating constantly. So we've built a AI system that goes through and is constantly looking at and updating our reporter database programmatically. For those of you that are reporters and would like to get added into our database, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to make sure that we've got you included in there as well, and that your information is up to date. So if you do have any questions there and you want to make sure that we've got it, go ahead and shoot me an email. How often are your metrics updated? So I'll talk a little bit about both our metrics as well as the content that's coming through. We're scraping all of our sources down to the minute. So we're really trying to make sure that that content is constantly flowing through. That also means that all of our metrics are constantly updating. So for instance, if you build a report, you can have that report being updated in real time. So as you share it with your team and your stakeholders, all of those metrics are constantly updating as new mentions are found, as journalists are publishing new content. Things like sentiment are updating in real time based on the ongoing conversation. So really helping you keep your thumb on the pulse of what's happening within a media ecosystem. All right, looks like we have the winners through here for the free year. The winners are Cherie Wisdom and Ronald Childs. Congrats to both of you. I'm excited to be working with you over the next year. One of the great things about PeakMetrics is that we actually will be as much or as little a part of your team as you like. So you can almost think of us as an extension of your team in addition to getting access to the platform. So both of you feel free to reach out to me. We'll get you in contact with your customer success rep who will help get you onboarded onto the platform, get those first few alerts and reports set up for you, and really get you going. So just shoot me an email. I've got your names, and we'll make sure that we can take care of that. Kanya, I think you might.
Congratulations to our winners. And Bobby, I had a question.
Sure.
We do have quite a few journalists on the call, and I wanted to ask you if you could just talk about how journalists can actually track their, use the same system maybe to track their own selves or their stories or their publications, or maybe even if there's another, they want to track somebody they're covering, or another, like you said, another organization, a competitor. Could you give us a little insight on how that can help them do their jobs a little better as journalists?
Yeah, absolutely. So like any organization's communications department, it's really important to know what's happening within the area that you're involved in. So the first thing I'd suggest as a journalist is to set up an alert for the area that you typically write in. The other thing that you can do is you can start to set up an alert for your own content. So understanding where that content is so that you can generate reports on how that content is shared out. Our properties feature is a great way to do that. So I can work with you to be able to automatically ingest all of the content that you're creating so that you can easily see in one single place, not just where that content is being shared, but where the content items that you're publishing are being referenced. I would also encourage you to use it as a way to do research. So if you're trying to learn more about a specific field, this gives you a really great way to get a curated feed of news articles about that. So those are just a couple different ways. Again, let's schedule a demo. Happy to walk through it specifically with each of you. And then, of course, we can work on things like building reports to actually summarize all of that data. All right, so we're going to kick off one last poll. Would love your feedback on how you thought this went. This is our first webinar that we've done with NABJ. I'm really excited about the opportunity to work with them. So any feedback that you guys have is fantastic. You have my email. Feel free to reach out. Really excited about working with you guys over the next upcoming years. Kanye, I will turn it over to you to kick off that poll. Awesome. I think that might be the last poll we asked.
I think that poll didn't go up. So we'll do that one and circle the fourth one in.
Perfect. Okay, so you'll all be getting a couple polls here coming up. Any last questions? If not, always happy to talk offline. But anything before we sign off for the day?
I would like to just add a few notes, Bobby, just to let everybody know that as I was looking for software for NABJ, the team over at PeakMetrics helped from day one, and very affordable. It's not like all the other media monitoring services that like kind of attack you and don't find out what you need. They actually find out what you need and set it up, help you set up and feel comfortable. It's very easy to use, lightweight, not a lot of stuff everywhere. And like you said, there's a lot of social media benefits. For most of us, our careers now are going into social media. And so you can find a lot of social media information, research, find a lot of content to share, or content that you might need to consider for your own PR work or journalism work. And then also on their website, you'll find other data sets, other information that you can actually use in your research, whether you're doing PR marketing or you're doing journalism. There's just a lot of data there. And at NABJ, we want to encourage our members to really learn to use more data to help them with their reporting, help them with writing, dynamic content, press releases, and marketing. So I really encourage you guys to take time to talk to Bobby offline, or, to follow up. I'm here to answer any questions. I use it every day. So I'm not just selling this to you. I really use it. And we just want our members to work with a company that actually is interested in what NABJ is all about.
Awesome. I have one last question that came here through here about pricing. Like Kanya said, we really wanted to make ourselves accessible to all of the members, which is part of why we're offering that discount. I would encourage you to all schedule a demo with me so that we can talk through our pricing option. But I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to find something that works for you or your organization. So let's definitely set up some time to talk about that as well. All right, here's that last poll. Any last questions? Awesome. Well, thank you all again for joining us. I really appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit about what we're seeing on the media side and a little bit about PeakMetrics. And I look forward to hearing from some of you soon. Just a reminder, Cherie and Ronald, send me an email and reach out. Excited to work with both of you as well.
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Thank you all.